Well, hello there, Jen Tabor. I'm so excited to be chatting with you, and you have a lot of stuff going on. I can see in the background, you have many different things. Looks like guitar straps and a lot of these different things. You have a business called Souldier. That we'll talk about some of that and how this all came to be in just a little bit, but. What I want to do is I want to start from the beginning. Did you grow up in Southwest Michigan?
I'm have grown. Well, I'm from Chicago originally.
Okay.
I spent most of my time here, and then sometime in high school we moved to Granger, which is just outside of Southwest Michigan. And I went to high school there. I went to college at IUSB, and then moved back to Chicago and finished up there. And right now, I think it's been probably 20 years later. I moved back to Southwest Michigan and brought my business with me. So we've relocated the business, live here now, and are calling Southwest Michigan, specifically Buchanan, home.
Yeah, and it's kind of a really awesome story on how this all got started. So let's try to fill in the blanks of that 20 years or so of coming back. So how did not only this business, but how did this idea for you and just your sort of, I guess, are you an artsy person? Do you consider yourself a crafty, artsy person?
I would call myself a builder. I am a builder. I'm not an artist. I cannot draw to save my life. Mm-hmm. But I've always been into construction, building things, and just anything you can make with your hands. Yes, that's kind of where it all started. I used to make, sweaters, and then they would turn out atrociously, and I would donate them to the local Goodwill bin and then just start another one. And had seasonal crafts. So there are things that I would do in the summer versus the winter. But really I think my whole story starts as I'm a musician. Mm-hmm. And I started playing piano when I was in second grade. I picked up the cello when I was 10. At 10, I decided that this was my life and I was going to be a cellist and an orchestra teacher. I fell in love with my orchestra teacher. Just wanted to spend every moment with my junior high orchestra teacher. And that kind of just turned into a career in music. I went to IUSB for cello performance, and I then transferred to DePaul and went there for cello performance and music education. I quickly became a orchestra director. I spent 10 years in the public schools, the suburbs just right outside Chicago, teaching orchestra. Strings were my main focus. And in college, kind of took any job that was music related along the way. So by the time I started my teaching career, I had already worked with the Chicago Sinfonietta, the Old Town School of Folk Music, numerous guitar stores. I taught piano, I taught guitar, I taught violin. I traveled to people's houses independently and taught Suzuki lessons. So I was very much a musician and a teacher. And that's that. And then the crafts was always just like a fun little hobby.
Yeah. Was it sort of out of necessity? Because as a musician, I know many musicians that they kind of they have to be builders as well. Like they have to sort of Frankenstein the things and do what you can with what you have for things like your gear or your instruments. You need them to last a long time, so you have to sort of get creative and know your way around things in order to make some of that stuff sustain, right?
Yes, I will say that this is busy hands, happy heart. As long as I have a real hard time sitting still, I just love making things. I always have. And, being a musician and kind of toying with that stuff, that's fun. But I'm not a person who rests. So I think, there's part of the crafting that just fills the need of like, I never watch a movie without a side project while the movie's happening. I'm one of those people. And yeah.
So you're one that like will maybe knit or do some sort of project while a
knit,
movie's playing.
paint walls, reconstruct patios. The other day I took all the debris in my backyard and made myself a cobblestone path just because that was 4 to 5 p.m. That was fun. Yeah, wow. I'm just a busybody.
No, that's a good thing. I mean, it's good to do, especially with the line of work that you have of being a busybody type person. But were your parents musicians? Is that how you kind of got the musical bug, if you will?
My parents were really supportive of me playing instruments. The piano was a Christmas present to our family, and they always made sure that we had access to instruments and supported us. And it was just something I fell in love with. My dad probably, I think he went to, he was a Notre Dame graduate. He used to teach guitar lessons as a means to get through college. So I remember him really poorly singing, Pinball Wizard and playing the guitar. And it was always a thing. Like if it was a Friday night and the parents were hanging out, it was, we were listening to Stevie Nicks or Tom Petty, and we were playing along and singing. And then eventually got my dad to stop singing because that's not his forte.
Well, Pinball Wizard is one that I'm a singer too, and to try and sing something like that or anything in that classic rock era can be very daunting. So I'm surprised of his music choice, or song choice for sure.
So I also growing up, I had a piano teacher who was amazing jazz pianist from Chicago, and he would drive, I don't know, I think our lessons weren't even worth his time, but he would come out and he would bring us the pop hits. He wasn't so much of a classical person. Mm-hmm. So I remember kind of one of my crowning achievements as a kid was he brought me over 200 Beatles songs in a Beatles book. And that's where the guitar playing started. I figured out how to read chords. I had already played most of these songs on the piano, and I would sing and play. And it's just, that was what I did for fun as a kid.
So would you say that teacher possibly is the person that really kind of veered you towards your musical tastes that you've had?
I would say, my parents and my teacher and all the teachers I've had. I have had some amazing music teachers who just gave us opportunities, showed us new things. And it was just, that's the thing that made my heart happy. Yeah. And then somehow along the way, I found, I had always been interested in construction and building and sewing, how things go together and stuff like that. So I don't know. I think it's kind of crazy that I found a way to put these two worlds together, because fashion was not necessarily a viable option. Like being a music teacher was already on the fringe when I decided to do that, but fashion wasn't a career, and it came back anyway. So here I am doing fashion and music and having the time of my life. I love it.
Yeah, and this is something that I think is not only cool because they look great, and the things you do and the things that you're creating is really cool, but it's also being seen by a lot of people as well. And we'll talk about some of the artists that are that have worn your guitar straps. But what was the first guitar? What was the reason you decided to make something like a guitar strap? Did you do it for yourself, or did you do it for someone else? What was the first one?
This story is, I love this story, and it's very simple. So I had a girl that I was in school with at DePaul, and we graduated, and I started my teaching career as 21. And she said, we need a bass player for our band. And I'm like, well, cello, cello.
Sure. Hello. Bass. Yeah.
So I was like, cello, I'm playing bass now. And we would have, we would play shows, and just had this great little fun thing that we did on the weekends while I was teaching. One year, the guys in my band, there were 2 girls, 3 guys. The 2 guitarists, both male, had birthdays coming up. And I said, if I get one a wallet and one a flask, like they're going to wish they had each other's presents. And I was like, wouldn't it be great if I made each one of them a guitar strap that suited their personality? And my being from South Bend, my stepfather worked at like one of the local auto places, and he knew I built stuff. So he would just give me like, oh, we have these spare parts. Here's a box of seatbelt. So I went to the local fabric store. I picked up 2 fabrics. I said, this would look great with Ben because he always wears white shirts. And here's like this really striking black strap with red dots on it. And then my friend Neil always used to wear corduroy jackets with, the elbow patches. And so I made him this really hempy, thready kind of thing. And we threw him on seatbelt because we had nothing else in the house to put them on. And I had this box of seatbelt from my dad. And that is kind of where the guitar strap started. I made 2 for each personality. And then after we gave them to them, I think they thought they were kind of weird at first. I don't know if there was no plan for this really. So having worked at so many of the institutions in Chicago, I said, well, if I go and find more personalities, maybe, I can make 30 straps. Each one suits a different person. And then I had the audience and a little, gumption to go and say, would you be interested in carrying these? And I walked into the first 3 music stores and they all said yes. And from that moment, it just became like a game I played with myself. So I started making guitar straps on recycled seatbelt with these old and vintage fabrics, and would take my 3-day weekends teaching, and I would drive to Milwaukee, drive to Madison, drive to anywhere that was like within a 3-hour range of Chicago. Yeah. And I would walk into the stores with a bucket of guitar straps and ask people if they wanted to buy them. And I really took, in the beginning, there was plenty of criticism or critique, and people said yes. And lots of people gave me a chance, which is a huge thing for, somebody who's, I guess, starting a small business, which you don't actually know you're doing it. But most of the stores said yes, and they all gave us a chance, and they carried our product. And it just gave us the encouragement to continue to reach out to more people and continue to build more straps and just figure it out. So that's kind of how the business started.
That's awesome. And what was those first couple guitar straps, as far as I guess well made or well put together? Were they ones that you would say, maybe if I could go back with the expertise that I had and kind of tweak that and modify that, or were you happy with what you made?
The best thing is that they are exactly the same today as that first strap. They are. They are not hand cut anymore. We don't hand cut our leather. But the end was supposed to look like a crest. I drew out a crest. I traced a crest. I made a crest. And, later on we have tooling and stuff like that now, but they are exactly the same. I have the original one in the case behind me, and it's kind of a little trophy or a little badge of where we came from.
That's really awesome. And this is something that it's not just, the random guitar shops and places like that are picking this up and saying yes to you. Has anybody ever said no?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Plenty. Yes.
And do they give you a reason why they don't want something like this?
Then there's a number of reasons why people wouldn't carry our product. And they're across the board from like, some people don't have the clientele that would look for our straps. Some people, I've ran into situations where it's an old boys network and we've got our best friends and you're not one of them yet. And the only thing you can do there is just continue to do a good job until they notice you or until they're willing to give you space. People have said no because I've had people who don't like to deal with women, and that's something that you have to kind of hold their hand and get them over. And then there's just some people who, you never know. It could not be the right time, and they'll come back to us. But if somebody says no to me, I'm okay with them saying no, but I do make sure they know why they should be carrying our stuff, and I leave the door open to talk in the future because things change, and we're still going to be here and we still want to sell them straps. And I still think that we're doing great work, and I'm really proud of employing people. And if they can get on the mission of American jobs and supporting, your local business, and we're not here to make the most money. We're not here to offer the cheapest price. We're here to do the best work and really help people express themselves and continue to connect with the music that they're making. And that's like the mission. So
absolutely.
If they're not here now, hopefully they get here. And if not, we just keep on working on it.
Yeah, and maybe they'll call you back and say, "Hey, we saw this and we changed our minds and we want to do that." So, at what point did you think, "Okay, my traveling and all this is paying off"? And who was the first star to wear one of your guitar straps?
So we were making straps for about 2 years. I had 200 retailers across the country that were carrying our stuff. And I just started saying, like, these have got to be somewhere. Somebody's got to have these. They're buying them. We've sold them. Where are they going? And then I think it was that same weekend, Jeff Tweedy from Wilco had wore our strap on Saturday Night Live. And that's when the phone started ringing. And I've thanked Jeff so many times for that. We have a Wilco signature line that we have done with them probably, I can't remember, maybe 2008, 2010, something like that. But Jeff was really one of the people who, adopted our owl pattern and started wearing it and used it and made it recognizable. And he's such a incredible person and has just a following of devotees, as he should, that that's kind of where that's where we really started connecting with some of the artists.
Yeah, and he's got a big heart. I mean, especially what he's been doing this past year of looking out for a lot of those people that have been out of work, and then also looking at other businesses, and just a lot of his philanthropy and things that he's looking at that people may not realize need help and need his assistance. So it's artists like that are great. And what are some of the other big artists? Because I mean, I go to your website and I'm looking at some of the artists that have been have worn your guitar straps, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. Like I'm
as shocked as you are. And it's really a lot of fun. I have to, if I'm going to give a shout out, it's my next shout out's going to be to Jonny Marr. We actually are embarking. You can be one of the first to know, but we're embarking on a signature strap with Jonny Marr as of this week. And man, what amazing person. And he said to me that he was honored to have his name associated with mine. I was like, you just stop. I can't even. But Jonny Marr, Taylor Swift had our stuff on at the Grammys, and let's see, Wilco, Aerosmith, the Black Keys, the Black Crowes, Blackberry Smoke, Dinosaur Jr., Modest Mouse, Chris Stapleton. I can't even remember.
Who would be your
Sons?
Yeah. Who would be your dream guitarist or bassist that you would want to have, that you've said, I want to make a guitar strap for that person? Is there a person that comes to mind?
Yeah, and it happened. Yeah,
it happened. Okay, well, tell me this.
Tom Petty. Like I said, I grew up listening to Tom Petty, and I can't remember what year this was, but probably 2014, 2015, Tom Petty had one of our straps on. I did not meet Tom Petty, but I remember just sending the picture to my parents and being, look at this, this is amazing. How did this happen? So that was just a crowning achievement, because, that was part of my childhood. And there's so many artists. I would never want to single anybody out. I am a huge, obviously, music fan. And, and not only that, I have to say that the artists are one thing, but even through social media, the people who aren't artists who support our stuff, and the guys who are on social media, the guys and gals on social media who are like, I have 10 of these. I mean, I wish I could just hug them and say thank you. Thank you for giving us a chance. Because they, you buy things from companies and you might not realize that who the people on the other end are. But like, gosh, how lucky are we to have people who have bought our stuff 10 times and come back and get a new guitar and, find us on social media and post that I love these things. I mean, I'm just blown away at every turn by everyone who supports us, not, artists included.
Absolutely.
But, yes.
So what have you learned so far in this this experience of all this? Where do you see Souldier and just you going in the future?
Sorry, you can hear our air compressors on. We are in the shop right now. Where do I see Souldier going in the future? Right now, we're kind of building out our lifestyle, the lifestyle aspects of our brand. So I think our first website was in 2006, 2007. And I asked a friend to come over and take pictures for our website. And she's like, oh, I'd love to have these as a camera strap. And at that point, I was like, yeah, it's a great idea. We started making camera straps. We would do shows and people would come up to me and say, I don't play guitar, but I wish I could wear this. And so we started making headbands. We made belts. We've made dog collars. We make bags, purses, messenger bags. It's just continuing to build new products. And I have to say, one of my side missions, having our product be on recycled seatbelt, it really has been to take a lot of what I'd call myself a scrapper, because a lot of the stuff that we use, like the actual raw materials that we use, are things that maybe are not on the top of the radar. And I think it's a mission of mine to find things that people consider discarded, old, not important anymore, and to find a way to reimagine these and invigorate them and give them life and make them beautiful again. So I'm always looking for, new ways to do that. Even our scrap, even our own manufacturing scrap, we started making wallets, and our wallet has a little pick holder. And the people here will kill me, but you can't throw away a leather scrap until it doesn't make a pick holder anymore. So I think just continuing to build it out. I'd love to have shirts, make some work on some shirts and things like that in the future.
That's exciting. I mean, and that's the thing, is that all of those different things, from guitar straps to dog collars to everything that you're making, is displaying a personality as well, because the people are going to find this and say, that really speaks to me, but also is something really awesome. So why did you decide that, you had this business, and why did you decide that Southwest Michigan and Buchanan specifically was a place that you wanted to call home and continue to grow your business?
When we were in Chicago, we were looking at expansion and how what's it going to look like in 10 years. And unfortunately, I have to say that not being a major tech company, we were kind of forced out of our location in Chicago every 2 years. We either grew out and had to move, or it was like, well, this neighborhood's kind of turning over now and we no longer have room for people who are doing manufacturing, which basically means prices are going up. And I wanted to spend the money on my shop and my people and not on my rent. And so I started looking for where is our long-term home going to be? Where are we going to be in 10, 20 years? Where is this going to be? And I wanted to stay close to Chicago so we have access to the artists, because people will call us and be like, hey, I'm in Chicago. And so we can still get back in no time and, kind of have the luxury of being there and meeting with people. And then we chose Buchanan after a lengthy search because of the tininess of the community. I thought, I'm at work a lot. I love even at night, I'll come back and I'm still brainstorming, and I'm like a tinkerer. So I come back here when nobody's here. I turn everything on. I listen to podcasts or listen to music, and then I make product, and it's like, it's ridiculous, but it's my way to relax. I do the same thing at night I do during the day. So I wanted to make sure that the shop was close to the house, and that, we could get back to family. I have family in the area, so we can see our family easily. We can get back to Chicago. We're close to the beach. We can still get to the lake and enjoy some of that. And then, the access to major cities and major airports. I don't know what Des Moines is like, but I wouldn't want to be somewhere in the middle of the country that wasn't connected to other things. So I feel like it was great to come back here, and I'm already familiar with the area, and there's so many wonderful things. And I think there's, especially in Southwest Michigan, there's not a ton of industry either. A lot of people are traveling outside of town to go to their job elsewhere because there's just not a lot here. And I was hoping when we moved here to kind of bring meaningful employment back to the area, and not just put my business here, but also be a job provider, and give people the option to stay in your own community and work in your own community. So that's one of my long-term goals. I'd love to at some point be employing 100 people in the town and really make a hub and have people coming in to work here and be part of the thing that brings life back to the area.
Absolutely. And it's just like, it's Buchanan, especially, there was manufacturing there and many different things in different ways. Those left. So it's sort of just like what you do with your company is taking something and repurposing it. You're kind of doing that same thing within the community. You're finding something, and whether it's the building or wherever you're at, and saying, we can do something here, and we can build it back and grow it again, and give those people jobs. But I love the idea of, and that's one reason I love Southwest Michigan, is that not only is it a cool place for you to have your business and grow, but it also gives you that great community, great things to do, and you're welcome. I mean, community. And that's like you said, is that you didn't want to be bounced around to all the different places. You wanted to feel welcome, but be able to continue to grow and not get sort of pushed aside and moved away for some other reason. But so that's awesome. I love that. And I'm loving to see where the you and this brand and all this cool stuff that you're doing continues to grow. And I'm sure people love hanging out with you and working with you, because you're that tinkerer, you're that person that figures out something, but you're like recycling just about everything. So that's awesome.
Well, I have to give one plug, which is that, one of the cool things we found out when we moved back to Buchanan is there's 2 other major historic music events that happened here. One is Electro Voice, which is the microphones from the 50s that Elvis used and everything. All the Electro Voice used to be manufactured here, which is really cool. So I feel like we're continuing that tradition. And from the band and orchestra side, Zinc was a big part of Buchanan, and one of the Bach and Selmer factories that make all the trumpets and trombones up in Elkhart, the guy who kind of invented this started off in Buchanan. He was a violinist. He hurt his finger at a machine shop and then decided to make the mouthpieces for the trumpets, so that using zinc, so that they could and then that's how Bach started, was actually by a violinist hurting his finger in a machine shop in Buchanan. So at some point, I mean, I would like to bring those stories back into our story and kind of, there's a musical tradition here. We've got manufacturers, like I said, the Bach and Selmer companies down over in Elkhart. There's a lot of manufacturing. So it's kind of a cool place to be. I'm not a lone manufacturer, but I have the support of like so many companies around me that are doing the same thing. And it really feels like a renaissance that we're part of. And there's resources here and people to talk to, and a tradition and a history that we can kind of, continue the thread into the next generation of music, building, making.
Absolutely.
Yeah, in the area.
Has anybody ever asked you to make a trumpet strap? Because I feel like
I don't know.
throw a trumpet over your shoulder.
Yeah. Well, case straps. Yeah, we've made case straps, but not necessarily one for the trumpet. Yeah. Right. But if somebody asks, if you're posing that question, we can talk.
I am not a trumpet player myself. I do know some trumpet players, but I've always thought that might be something to make. So besides your always tinkering and all that, what is something that somebody may not know about you?
Home improvement. It's the same. I don't know if this does not count in home and tinkering, but if I'm not here, I'm in the yard, or, I'm still building. It's either inside the house. If it's summer, it's outside the house. And, if it's working hours, it's here. It's just constant go. And I think I just like making things beautiful, and I'm willing to put in the hard work to get it done. So it wouldn't really matter what opportunity was presented. I would probably do the same thing there as well.
Yeah. So you would go back. You wouldn't have. What if you would have given up on doing the guitar strap thing? Do you think you'd be doing something else? Do you think you'd just be a music teacher or something like that?
I don't know. I don't think that I would still be a music teacher. I am also quite ambitious, and it's just like keeping your mind busy. There's got to be something. It's got to be school. It's got to be a new endeavor. I don't think that remaining a teacher in the same track would have been, it could have been going to grad school and becoming a principal. I actually have I'm like 3 classes away from my master's degree and being a principal of a school.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, in the future, I could see, I really am like I'm still into kids, community, just making everybody feel good. And I would love to be able to further that in the community in the future as well. And, I'm always kind of putting feelers out there about what can I participate in? What can I build? Souldiers to a certain point. I'm not done building Souldier, and I'm not done building, opportunities in my community. And so I think everything's just continuing to develop. I'm not done by any means. And if people ask you, like, how successful are you?
Sure.
I don't know. I wouldn't be able to answer that one either. I think I have had some success, but that's all like in the behind me.
Mm-hmm.
And I still have to work on it every day, just like everybody else. At no point do I think that I will just be like, oh, I've made it, because, there's just so much out there still to be done. And yeah. I'll retire when I'm older. Probably not, though.
If you were to title an autobiography, what would the title of your autobiography be?
I always say it's always got to be like, keep going.
Keep going.
Yeah. Or, follow, create a vision and just chase it down.
Chase it down. I like that.
Yeah. I don't know if it's a title, but
I mean, just going back to Tom Petty, running down a dream. Yes, that's my title, running down a dream. Mm-hmm. I like it. Wonderful.
Hammering down a dream.
There you go.
Wrangling it. Yes.
Well, Jen, I've had such a wonderful time chatting with you, and thank you so much for sharing your story with me.
Thank you.